for all you do. Thanks for inviting me to come back. I want to talk about cheese. Can foods be addicting? There were some researchers at the University of Michigan, and they brought together 384 people, and they said to them, which foods give you problems? And what they meant was, which foods do you have trouble cutting down with? Which ones cause you to lose control and just, even when you're full, you're still having more and you just can't stop? Well, the number 5 food was ice cream. Number 4 was cookies. Number 3 was chips. Number 2 was chocolate. And number 1 was pizza. And I'm going to argue that it's not the olives. And it's not the crust. It's something about that gooey cheese melting all over it and piling higher. And is this not true? When you talk to people who go on a plant-based diet, they say, you know, this is really great, except I really, really miss cheese. What is it about this? What's going on here? But you might love cheese, but it doesn't love you back. And I'd like to talk about that in this hour. It's fattening, it's addicting, and it causes lots and lots and lots of health problems, and people have really given it a pass. They've overlooked it. So what causes weight problems? You talk to other people about this, or you read a news article, and they will say it's soda. It's sugar. And soda, these are not health foods. But I'm going to put a question mark as to whether that's the reason for the obesity epidemic that we have been seeing. Because if you look at sweetener consumption over time, it went up a bit over time, and as of 1999, it started falling because people started buying bottled water instead of sodas to a large degree. And if you look at cheese, where's that gone? Up and up and up and up. So which direction is obesity going? It's following the cheese. Well, what would that be? If you look at cheese consumption over time, in 1909, the Department of Agriculture started tracking what Americans eat. And in 1909, cheese was something Swiss people ate. We don't eat it in Peoria. The average American could not get through 4 pounds of cheese in a year. But what happened? In the 1960s and 70s and 80s, fast food chains came in. Pizza places came in. And so cheese became an ingredient in a lot of what people were eating from day to day. And by 2013, we were at 33 pounds of cheese every person every year. I'm not eating any. Somebody else is eating 60. So I'm going to argue that it's fattening for several reasons. Number 1, it's loaded with calories. And you probably know this already, but if you don't, this is my most important number. A gram of sugar, a gram is tiny. It's a 28th of an ounce. A gram of sugar has 4 calories. A gram of fat has 9 calories. Well, the leanest beef is about 29% fat. Chicken, not much better, about 23. Fish vary. Some are lower, some are higher. But if you look at plant foods, they're pretty low in fat, which is why they're not very high in calories. So where is cheese? 70% fat. If it were any worse, it would be Vaseline. So, okay, there is Coke Zero, so you could actually have a soda without any calories at all. But is there Cheddar Zero? I don't think so. All right. So, secondly, fat in foods adds easily to your body fat. Here's what I mean. Let's say you ate a little bit too much bread. Would that go to body fat? Not really, at least not at the beginning. The carbohydrate that's in bread breaks apart, and it goes into your bloodstream, and it powers your muscle activity. It powers your brain. It's the fuel that your body runs on. Let's say I overdo it. I eat a lot more. Let's say I'm an athlete, and I'm carbo loading. I'm eating lots and lots of bread and pasta. Does it go to fat? No. The reason athletes eat it, so much of it, is because it goes into their muscles and is stored as glycogen, which are batteries that you need when you're active. Also in your liver, it's stored. Glycogen is stored there too. Now, theoretically, you can build fat from carbohydrate. But even if you ate the entire loaf of bread and it was more than you needed and your glycogen stores were all filled, if you made fat from it, even that, to make bread into fat is hard for your body. and it uses up about 25% or so of its calories just to try to make it. Now, on the other hand, cheese can go very easily to fat because it's already fat. It doesn't really require much of any conversion. You eat it, it goes into your blood, stores as fat. Very simple. Okay? Number 3, fat slows your metabolism. Here's what I mean. This is a muscle cell. And the reason I'm showing you a muscle cell is you hear people say, don't lose your muscle mass. Your muscles are your calorie burners. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so inside your muscles are mitochondria. Do you remember the mitochondria from high school biology? Those are your calorie burners. You have a lot of them, but you also have little bits of fat. Now, doctors hate words like fat because it only has one syllable, so we'll call it intramyocellular lipid, but it's fat inside your cell, and if you ate a little bit too much chicken fat or beef fat or Velveeta or fryer grease for that matter, the fat builds up inside your cell. When that happens, the cell says, fantastic, this is great. I've got some fat that I can store up, and if we happen to have a famine sometime, I'm sitting pretty. I got a lot of stored calories. Now, if the mitochondria burn it all up, it's gone. So when fat comes into the cell, the body turns down the production of mitochondria to keep the fat. And your metabolism slows down to preserve this fat richness that just came in. And that's the opposite of what you want. You say, wait a minute, I just ate too much. Why are you storing it? You've got to get rid of it. The body was programmed a long time ago when there were such things as famines. So if you ate a big fatty thing, your body says, I'll keep that. And as the years go by, the metabolism you had when you were 12 is just no longer there because the mitochondria have been disturbed. So if I'm on a low-fat vegan diet, time goes in the opposite direction. Okay, number 4, cheese does not have fiber. Now, fiber is the most boring word in this lecture. I apologize. Fiber is big stuff, though. Fiber is plant roughage. It has effectively no calories. And so when I eat high-fiber foods, it fills you up, makes you think you've eaten a lot of foods, but the fact is you haven't really eaten very much. So fiber tricks the brain into thinking you ate a huge amount of food. But Velveeta it's not a plant. It has no fiber at all, so every last calorie in it you get, okay? So here's the fiber. Baked beans have 5 grams, broccoli and other vegetables another 5 in a cup. An apple has about 4, oranges 3, bananas, brown rice, 4 grams. But cheese, none. Yogurt, none. Milk, none. Meat, none. Animal products don't have fiber. Okay, very simple. And 5th, a lot of people are not aware of this. Cheese has a lot of sodium. It's one of the highest salt foods that there are. And it adds water weight. And so you can build up a couple of pounds of this. Now, an orange has sodium, about 1 milligram in a typical orange. An apple, about 2. A cup of brown rice, maybe 20 or so. A potato, 13 milligrams of sodium in a typical potato. Potato chips have the sodium added, and they're up at 330. 1 serving of cheddar is 350, and a serving of Edam is 500, and Velveeta weighs in at over 800 milligrams of sodium in just 1 single serving. Okay, so why is cheese fattening? It's high in calories. The fat adds to your body fat. It slows down your metabolism day by day. It doesn't have any fiber at all to control your appetite, and it adds a little extra. It has a lot of sodium, so you're carrying 2 or 3 extra pounds of water, just making your knuckles a little bit smoother and making you feel heavier and bloated. Okay. Now, you've heard about the Adventist Health Study. Researchers have studied Seventh-day Adventists for years because church teachings say, don't smoke, don't drink, avoid caffeine, don't eat meat. And almost all Adventists are very good at the first 3. They're non-smoking, non-drinking, health-conscious people, but some eat meat and some do not. And that sets up a perfect natural experiment that researchers can take advantage of. So the Adventist Health Study 2 brought in not quite 61,000 people, and they were all over 30, and they split them into 5 groups based on the diets that they normally followed. and they looked at everyone's body mass index. Body mass index. Are you familiar with that? BMI. It's just your weight, based on, but adjusted for how tall you are. And so a healthy BMI is below 25. So the band on the left, the red band there, those are non-vegetarians, or basically meat eaters. And their BMI was not below 25, it was 28.8. And the next group were people called semi-vegetarians, meaning they ate meat but only once a week or less. A little bit slimmer. The third group, the pesco-vegetarians, pesco meaning, okay, all right, fish. They're not eating any meat except for fish. They're a little bit slimmer. And then the lacto-ovo-vegetarians, a little bit slimmer too. And then that fifth group, I always have to tell my patients that a vegan is not a person from the planet Vegas. But they are not only a lot slimmer, but they're actually the only group smack in the middle of the healthy weight range.